Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're moving now into a third and final segment for the morning. This one is a conversation that will be surrounding the Wildlife Conservation Society, and they'll be sharing with us the first ever illegal wildlife trade week in Belize. So we've never celebrated this week, and this week we're actually doing so. In to talk to us about it, we've got Julio Maz, who is the Technical Coordinator, Marine Wildlife Conservation Society, and also Camille Pennell, who is the Technical Coordinator, Terrestrial Wildlife Conservation Society. Guys, good morning and welcome.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having us.
It sounded like you guys did some heavy studying. That was right there. that was well coordinated, in sync indeed. But guys,
that's why.
Definitely. So tell us about the Wildlife Conservation Society, the work it does, and then we go from there.
All right, good morning. The Wildlife Conservation Society has been operating in Belize for the past 30 years. And we've been working on conservation, both marine and terrestrial. We do a lot of science and research. We've done jaguar research, which helped to establish the first jaguar reserve in Belize, which is a Coxcomb Basin Wildlife Sanctuary. We worked also with the
and we seem to have lost. All right.
Lighthouse, National Park, and the Coxcomb. Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, we lost your audio.
Reserve.
Okay, we lost your audio a little. So if you don't mind starting over for us.
Yes, we've been working in Belize for the past 30 years. We do terrestrial and marine conservation. We've been working on the establishment of protected areas in Belize. We assisted in the creation of the Coxcomb Basin Wildlife Sanctuary for the protection of jaguars. We've been doing work in regards to fisheries. We recently supported the passage of the Fisheries Act, looking at the modernizing that piece of legislation to ensure that we are protecting our fisheries. We have a research station out at Little Key, which does a lot of interesting research, which has resulted in the development of policies and regulations, such as regulations for the grouper. Recently, we've been working on the terrestrial program, trying to protect the Maya Forest corridor. And we also provide technical support to our management partners on the ground at the national level. We've been working a lot on the use of technology for conservation, using drones, using mobile phones to collect information on the field, to mention a few.
Biodiversity is the biodiversity index for Belize is pretty high. Belize is a country that prizes and cherishes its biodiversity, but it has been critically impacted by the illegal wildlife trade, the poaching of our parrots, the poaching of our jaguars, the selling of our parrots and other wildlife, which has also caused an economic rippling effect in terms of the monies that we lose in this process. Speak to us a bit about what mechanism has been put in place to proactively address this particular issue.
That's a good point you bring up there, and I totally agree. So, Wildlife Conservation Society, we work alongside government and other NGO partners. We are not on the ground at the moment doing management interventions, but what we do is a lot of research. One big report that we produced last year highlights the value of the illegal trade in Belize, and actually we did some work with other partners, so desk-based research, but also using raw data, and we came up with a figure to estimate the trade, which is estimated at over $1 million. So it's between the period of 2012 and 2018. And we believe that this is a low figure, but it is a good starting point. We're seeing that the trade is here, it's happening, and it's increasing. Mm-hmm. Our partners on the ground are utilizing smart tech as an enforcement technology. Julio can go into the details. That's a good tool that is used to collect enforcement data and to ensure strategic patrols. But also, we are working on legislation. Policy is important. So, for example, CITES, I don't know if you guys have heard it, but it's a convention that manages the legal trade of endangered species. That's a very important convention, but because it allows proper management of the legal trade of species and it controls the illegal trade.
Okay. And who?
I don't know who, if you want to talk about the
Sure, let's
actual smart technology.
All right, sure. Let's get you in there, Julio.
Yeah, so what has been happening on the ground is a more coordinated effort to patrol our fisheries waters and also our forests. There's better coordination along the NGOs, the government agencies, to ensure that we're protecting these species. A tool that we use to ensure that we're able to have better data of patrols and ensure that the patrols are going where they should be going is the spatial monitoring and reporting tool, it's Chart Smart, which basically allows rangers to collect information using their cell phones and have that data georeferenced. And then all that data comes to a central repository, which can be used at a national level to see where we have gaps in enforcement, to see where we have threats, and to ensure that we are coordinating our efforts to tackle the issue of the illegal wildlife trade. And illegal wildlife trade doesn't only happen through the international exportation, it also happens in the local market. And so here in the local market, we're working very diligently with both the forestry department, the fisheries department, to crack down on the wildlife trade. And we provide support in terms of resources for them to be able to go and patrol the water.
Are we finding that Belizeans are actually involved heavily with wildlife trade, or are we noticing probably our neighbors doing such thing? Who are the culprits behind wildlife trade?
It's a combination. And it's a well-organized ring. We have Belizeans and foreigners involved. You may recall the incident of piracy at sea that occurred in January, February of this year. You know, a lot of that lobster and conch that was stolen from our Belizean fishermen was exported illegally to Honduras, where that was sold in the Honduran market. And then it was also involved a part of the other illegal trades, whether the selling of stolen items and also the issue of potentially narco trafficking.
Wow.
Belize is a country that loses millions of dollars from the IWT, the illegal wildlife trade. And I'm going to be bold and say we lose millions of dollars both ways. And I say this because when there's the extraction of timber, for example, we're losing millions of dollars because we cannot use our resources to develop ourselves. But also, when the illegal logging of timber occurs and we get a chance to stop the trade from happening, many times we see that these particular timbers are being destroyed instead of the resources being used or utilized after being extracted. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a good point. Why we chose to highlight how much we're losing in dollar value is because that's what people understand. So if we're saying, hey, we're losing trees, we're losing parrots, sometimes people don't pay attention, but we are losing biodiversity, and that's important. So obviously we rely on, like you said, timber to build our homes, and for furniture and for art. So yes, the fact that we wouldn't be able to access it means that we've lost the ability to legally trade it.
Right.
We've lost the ability to access the resources. And when it is, when it is actually, when the government, the government authorities seize these timber, for example, during a raid, we have to be careful because we can easily say, hey, just take it back and build some furniture for schools, for example, but there's a process because if it's a CITES listed species, there's a process to follow. We're signed on to the convention, so we need to follow the processes. We can't just let go the timber because it needs to be traced. So if you can't trace the product, then you race it going back into the illegal trade. I'm not going to go into the details. I don't think we have the time, but it's just not a clear-cut process where you can say, I see this product and I'll just take it back and put it somewhere else. It has to be traced.
That's a great point, though. That's and I'm glad that you guys are on, because these are some of the things that we actually have in the backbencher, not knowing that they actually impact us heavily, especially with respect to the amount of money that we lose from these things. Now, with the interest of time, indeed, Camille, this is the first time Belize is actually celebrating Wildlife Trade Week in Belize. How did we manage to observe it, and what are we doing to actually celebrate it?
So we decided to dedicate a week to celebrate Illegal Wildlife Trade Week for the mere fact that we don't think that there's enough attention on the trade. We wanted to increase the public's awareness of what's happening and to really highlight the fact that, you know what, like Julio mentioned, it's happening here, it's happening by Belizeans. Of course, we have Guatemalans coming in and doing illegal and harvesting our products illegally, but we can't hide from the fact that it's happening in Belize. Sometimes it's due to the fact that they don't know the laws, and that's where we come in, and that's where this week comes in. So from yesterday, actually, up to next week, Monday, we're having a social media trivia. So we're asking questions around the theme Illegal Wildlife Trade Week, and we're hoping that triggers more interest so that people can start thinking, okay, what does this term even mean? What species are targeted? Of course, we have fabulous prizes, so I hope that everybody is following our Facebook page. And to end the week, we have our big event, which is the virtual conference, which will be held next week. We're inviting everybody to participate as audience, but we do have some excellent presentations from government departments, from other NGOs, and from our partner in Guatemala who is focused on illegal wildlife trade for the region. And we also have two excellent presenters from the US who will be presenting on technology. I think that it's important that we mention and that we all realize that we have the tools available to tackle this trade, one being technology. So next week, people will be able to find out about this tool called the Xylotron, which is our handheld device that helps us detect what the species is for timber species. So you basically use the handheld device and you scan the timber and you can be able to detect what the species is exactly. And we'll also have an expert talking about DNA testing and how it can be used to determine the species of sharks. Because I know you guys, or everybody might realize that shark is often cut up into small pieces, into fillets, and then you can't tell what it is. So through DNA testing, we are able to figure out for sure with all certainty what the species is. And we can tell, okay, if this person is trying to export shark illegally.
Wow.
In terms of the monitoring of our protected areas and the support that comes from the Protected Areas Conservation Trust, from the government, the Wildlife Conservation Society, and all these environmental agencies, how has the monitoring been ramped up to be able to mitigate the rates that we see of illegal poaching within our terrestrial areas?
Excellent question. So we all have to realize right now that we have very limited resources, and even more so during the pandemic. There's less and less resources going to conservation and going to tackling the trade. And hence, the reason why it's important for us to work together, the different organizations, government and NGOs, and of course the public. So, I mean, the public plays a role. If you follow the rules and regulations, for example, don't be buying conch out of season. And if you report the incidents that you're seeing, we can definitely tackle the trade. So it's important to, and this fits in well with the theme, which is collective action to address and combat illegal wildlife trade, which is the theme of this week. We want to continue working with our partners, and like Julio mentioned, we work with them to implement technology, and we hope that continues. Even though resources are decreasing, we need to actually increase collaboration so that we can have an impact.
All right. So in wrapping up, guys, being that we're celebrating this week and it goes up until Monday, how can one get information about how to participate and to get more information on what you guys do on a whole? It seems like we've lost their audio again.
There.
Yeah. We do hope that they, if they're not back, I think they...
Well, you can visit our website. I can hear you.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Hi. So you can visit our website. You can visit our website, WCSBelize.org. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, where you can get more information about the work that we do. And also, well, as Camille was saying, we're going to be having activities on our Facebook page over this week. We're going to be having trivias. During the weekend, we're having an activity with the trivia.
Oh, it's this Wednesday.
Oh, it's this Wednesday.
Trivia Mania.
We're having a Trivia Mania this Wednesday. Again, follow us on Facebook, and there you can get more information. And look out also for the announcement for the virtual workshop, where we talk more about the illegal wildlife trade and how it affects our country, our communities, our biodiversity. And you can also visit us at our offices if you need to speak with anyone directly.
All right. Awesome. Julio Maz, Camille Pennell, thank you guys so very much for joining us this morning to share with us some information about what Wildlife Conservation Society does. And congratulations on the celebration of this week. This is actually Wildlife Trade Week, being first time celebrated in Belize. Thank you guys so very much.
Thank you too. Bye.
We're about to take our final break for the morning. When we come back, we will be wrapping things up. Stay with us. We'll be back.